So I'm about to hit you with a. I'm gonna throw you what I'm gonna call a feedback corner, right? I'm gonna ask you just straight, plain out questions. How would you address it, fix it, improve it, etc. Right?
Okay.
All right. Fault map. What would
Cut
you
it
do?
in half and double it. I would cut it in half and double it. That's what I would do.
Okay, hold on, because I'll be real with you. In my potato brain, that literally just means put the exact same fucking map. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
I think there needs to be an extra white camp. Some people like that it's balanced with 2 on each side, but I liked in how in Paragon there was 3 on one side, 2 on the other.
Strong side, weak side. Okay.
Yep. I think there needs to be a strong side, weak side jungle. I know a lot of people will disagree with that. We need an actual river, just cosmetically, very nitpicky. I want a river. Are we talking elements within the map or the map itself, like the design and shape of the map? Or?
In general, because for example, you bring up a good point with the whole river. Like, it might be a picky thing, right? But not having an official split down the middle means that every decision I make, every rotation I make is either a safe rotation or a risky rotation, right? Which I kind of understand, right? I'm either rotating and I'm on their half of the map because it's less likely to be warded, or I'm rotating and I'm on my side of the map, but it's more likely to be warded, but I can get out easier. So I understand some of these decisions, right? But at the same time, I also do wish there were that middle section. Like the Monolith River is a great example, how it went through the middle of the map, but in certain areas it's closer to them, certain areas it's closer to us. But if you go down this river, it's a winding road,
and there were ledges
access.
And there were ledges along it that gave access to certain heroes, and others couldn't. Like Kalari could always jump up, or Greystone, or what have you, could jump up on certain ledges that other heroes couldn't. I thought that was a fun element to the game. A lot of people say it wasn't balanced. I thought it was fun.
Dude, I'll be real with you. That's something that I miss. Like actually miss. And that's just immense verticality, right? Because like beforehand, bringing up Monolith, right, from gold buff to the river, that was a huge that was a gap, right?
Oh yeah.
Then go down the road, the stairs up into gold buff were about half that distance. Those were pretty steep stairs. Yep. And then the ones going down into Prime, a little bit less steep, but when you were on those stairs, on those halfway stairs, looking down into Prime is significantly lower, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just all these little things put together. I love that in mid has elevation with those drop downs right behind you, and you got the ledges, halfway elevation, etc. I think mid is the best example of elevation, but I honestly feel like there should be more of mid everywhere on the map in Fault.
100% agree. 100% agree. And yeah, I do miss that, where the gold buff in Paragon was so elevated. I think that was more fun when you had solo versus duo in Paragon, which you're not going to have in Fault. And Paragon changed after a while. I thought it was more fun in that regard. I don't think that would be very fair if the duo lane were that way in Fault. Oh, that's another thing. That's another big thing I would change about Fault. I would like to see red, blue.
Okay, run that.
I would like to see
by me again, bro.
I would like to see duo lane always have red buff.
Oh,
so if I don't get a strong side, if I don't get a strong side, weak side jungle, then I want
inverted. Like matching.
Then I want matching. If I can't have strong side, weak side, then I want matching, because I hate starting on blue side and when I'm supporting or playing ADC, because it's fucking boring and there's nothing to do for like ever. And always put my ward down too soon, and then it gets dewarded because I'm just sitting there bored.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay. Now we know Legacy was this way. And we know that Monolith was kind of the introduction into the inverted jungle, right?
Mhm.
And that goes more to suit with, for example, League of Legends having a strong side jungle, weak side jungle. Now, the issue would then become, well, not necessarily the issue, more of a meta shift then would be along the lines of the fact that if you have matching sides, then you have to have, for example, solo designated buffs like Smite does, for example. You feel me? There's a solo lane, there's a duo lane, everything is mirrored, but there's camps specifically designed for duo, camps specifically designed for solo, there's camps specifically designed for mid to grab, all while not starving the jungler. And if the jungler grabs those camps, he can be further ahead because it's extra camps that weren't meant for him, right? So I'd say Smite did a very, very good job of having a mirrored map, but still having it be intricate and complex. But I'll be honest with you, man, I really think that if they keep this whole 2 white minion camps, 3 at best on each side, and they mirror, I just think that's gonna be a fuckfest in duo, low-key. As a carry main, well, because think of it like this: if the strong side jungle, you know, arguably red side, right? Because it's the ganking buff. If the strong side jungle is always in duo, that means a natural rotation will be for the jungler to grab his red, gank duo, right? Maybe you can see it coming, maybe it's expected, you can ward, etc. But that also means, just like if currently, even though the buffs are inverted, any jungler that has the red side next to the duo, that duo is going to get bullied a lot more. While the other jungler, in order to get that red buff, has to go across the map, right? If you literally have 3 people living in the duo lane, mid keeps rotating to the duo lane, because let's be honest, a Gideon is going to try and kill the Twin Blast, not the Greystone, right? So you're literally going to have arguably 2 to 4 people at all times in the lane. It's just literally going to turn into a brawl in duo. Who's going to survive? Bunch of kills are going to happen, and it's almost too easy of killing. Now, the way that Smite counteracts this is their size of their map, which could be an argument to be made, right? Like in Smite, yeah, duo's always in the same spot, their same buffs are in the same spot. But if you actually sit there, like, I'll be real with you, let's take Fault for example, right? From me to walk to my tower to the enemy tower, not long at all. It's literally just over the hill, bam, like less than 10 seconds, I'm there. In Smite, it'll take me to like 20 30 seconds just to walk in a straight line from tower to tower. And on my way from tower to tower, I pass like 5 or 6 jungle entrances that could easily be behind me. Like, you feel me? Like, I think that if they're going to do stuff like that, there needs to be a change in map size, but arguably making it bigger. Whether it be increasing the movement speed of when you do have boots, and honestly, super cool idea. Imagine the movement speed when you have boots is even faster, and then you get travel mode animations. And then on top of that, you actually need the boots to travel these long distances, right? Like, if I plan on pushing this T1 and surviving, I'm going to need these boots, because low key, I have such a long distance to travel. I'm gonna die. Because Smite arguably has legacy type size within their own, you know, feel.
I'm very anti boots. I've always been anti boots. I think I'll always be anti boot.
Why do you feel?
If you're going to make a movement speed item pretty much mandatory in a game that everybody's going to pick up, then just give everybody fucking that movement speed off the get-go and remove those fucking boots. Because if everybody's going to be picking up the boots and the only change is what stats they get and what boots they get, then why the fuck do you even have the movement speed? If your game is too goddamn slow without the boots, then make your game faster. I hate boots. I hate them in all modes. Oh, and back to the red buff thing, like you were talking about with, like it would be a clusterfuck with both junglers having red on the same side. The way it is now is the red side duo has a pretty strong advantage on the other duo because their jungler is there, and I don't think that's quite fair. I would rather be a jungle clusterfuck of the two junglers kind of facing off and pushing each other away than have to be on that side without the red buff and getting bullied.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, I guess the argument could be made that, on the contrary, the solo and mid get more action from having the buffs being, you know, what's the word? I just forgot the word. Having the buffs be against asymmetrical. Thank you. Having the buffs be asymmetrical, because if that were the way, you know, like we said, there would be a constant clusterfuck, maybe a more even constant clusterfuck, right, going on. But let's say you have weak side jungle. Let's say you have the blue side on your side. That just means we play a little bit more passive, and you know that your jungler is going to be feeding off of mid and they're solo. Right. If possible, you feel me? And even though it might take our duo a little bit more effort to get ahead, it's gonna make a huge difference when out of nowhere our mid laner comes in fed as fuck to help our lane. Or like that one time Greystone rotates, this motherfucker's level 14, I'm still 8. This guy's huge, and he just comes by smacking shit because the junglers has been feeding him. So I can definitely see the benefits of it, right? And the cons. But it's, I think if they were to do it symmetrical buffs, like I said, they just need a spicier jungle. They need different camps with different amount of, you know, minions, or different camps with different buffs. Like Smite, again, you have the purple buff is meant for duo. It's like an armor shredder, right? You have green buff is meant for I'm sorry, usually blue buff is meant for solo. That's the region, right? But then blue solo lane also has the Tiki, which gives gold to your entire team, and it gives a solo laner something to do. And jungler has a reason to go to solo every time that cooldown is up, because it's gold for the entire team. Simultaneously, in the duo lane, you have the gold fury, which is a bigger buff, almost like a raptor type, but the only benefit is that it gives gold to your team. And then that specific fury then gets replaced with other furies, and now you might kill one that lets your minions get more damage for a short period of time. Now you might kill one that lets you get more damage to structures, and it's like an alternating, almost like we had in Monolith, rotating river buffs. Imagine a rotating raptor buff is essentially what Smite did. Yeah. Instead of just like flat power or something that would snowball. Just something that gives the jungler incentives to be on both sides. Because right now, the only reason the jungler would want to be on solo is a kill, or maybe if he's thirsty and wants to steal the green shrine, right? And now they're introducing the lesser prime helix. I don't know if you actually read that update. Did you read that update, by the way?
No, lesser prime?
Yep. So now we're gonna get a lesser prime helix, which
little baby prime.
Yeah. Now I hope they just don't throw a baby Harambe in there. I really hope it's a different model, right? But essentially, what it is, at the 8-minute mark, it's going to spawn in the prime pit. If this creature gets killed, everybody on your team is going to be able to do one basic attack worth of true damage to a structure. Just one. Okay. So like if you take it as a team and all 5 of you hit middle tower, that's a nice chunk off of middle tower. Now granted, depending on when you grab it, it might be anywhere between like 80 to like 200 basic attack damage, right? Depending on how much you scale, etc. And granted, this is before 20 minutes, because after 20 minutes, prime is there. So this is an early lane thing to almost help encourage pushing a lane. Or you could each be in your own lanes when, let's say, a Chimera grabs it because he's got the regen. And then from there, everybody will just be able to get a little bit of extra damage on their own perspective towers. But
I like that. Encourages some new strats.
Yeah, and it encourages the jungler to actually be on that half of the map for an objective. Because right now, again, gold buff possible blue or red and raptor all on one side of the map, and the other side only has green shrine. It's like, low-key, I'm just gonna let my Greystone do his thing. I don't even gotta visit over there.
If you're taking green shrine from your offlaner as a jungler, you're kind of being a dick.
Yeah, too many people do it though. But just think about that. Think about the fact that they're incorporating more map influence elsewhere by including that, right? I'd probably say my biggest issue with that is that I don't know if the buff is going to respawn. I don't know if, let's say on the argument that it doesn't respawn, you go over at 8 minutes, do what you got to do. All right, bet. Prime doesn't spawn till 20. For the next 10 minutes, I'm just going to live in duo again. You feel me? Like, it's just more needs to happen on that side of the map, and at least having the red buff on one of the two red buffs being towards solo, it almost forces one of the two junglers to consider solo mid engagement even more. Because if not, holy shit, again, it would literally just be a 4-man brawl on the duo lane, which it often is. Since you've been playing recently, you know it's like almost guaranteed, like every 2 minutes you're either gonna get a mid laner or a jungler just stopping by, regardless if it's yours, theirs. Like, there's always somebody living in your lane. Now, granted, whatever means more action, but on the counter side, let's say you're a solo main, you're literally spending 15 minutes playing the damn game just as a farming simulator or pushing tower or whatever. You feel me? Solo lane is arguably the best lane right now to learn how to play the game. Grab whatever fucking character you want, because it's viable to even go like gadget solo, Morgue solo.
Yeah, that's the counter argument I have to that. Grab anybody you want, but if you're against a good Morgesh or Bellica or Gadget in the solo lane, you're going to get your shit pushed in. I think that's a bit of a problem right now.
And I think that would be discouraged if there were a reason to want to be tanky on solo. Because right now it's just a farming simulator, right?
There's no reason to take a tanky character into solo unless you just lack any sort of late game engage. Like, you might surmount the odds and get into the late game, but a lot of times I've seen so many Morgeshes just dump on a Greystone and then just get so fed that there's no possible way that you're going to win the game, because she's just destroying everybody by like 10 minutes in. So I think that's a bit of a problem. If they could add like an item or something to help out with that, or like you said, give a reason to take a tanky character into that off lane.
One problem is, for example, green, like all the shrines, green shrine, such a huge benefit. It doesn't even hit you. You feel me? These are literally just statues that you smack and get the buff. So I like time
to kill, but
true, which I like, and it can easily be stolen. You can leave it at half health, come back, it'll still be half health, right?
Yeah.
I like the play potential around it. But again, if there is no reason to be tanky, if there is no reason to encourage an actual real solo laner, you're literally gonna have anybody, unless, say for example, this lesser prime helix. If your jungler comes by to tank and you're literally just damaged, you're a Bellica dropping bombs from solo, you could still run that shit. I don't see this being a reason to run a real solo laner. Low key, I think they need to incorporate something, some weird mechanic, or like, I'll be real with you. Remember how there were harvesters on the outside of the lanes before, back in the legacy days?
Yeah.
What if they added a solo camp outside of the solo lane that fought you back, but it gave you a significant buff? Like, let's say the shrine gives you regen, but maybe this outer buff, you take damage from it, but now you get an armor buff off of it for a time frame.
Right.
So now if you see the enemy solo, one goes to grab the shrine for regen, well then I'm gonna go grab the armor buff. And now there's a counter play, instead of just like, yo, if you have green shrine, you win. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of spitballing here, because I really do feel like just something as far as this map needs to be done, as far as making it more engaging. Now,
Well, remember Paragon solo lane had an extra white camp outside of the jungle that was actually
Monolith,
situated
yep.
in solo lane.
that was made
And,
for
yeah,
a solo laner
Monolith.
so he wouldn't overextend.
Yeah, that'd be
Now-
nice to see.
That would be cool, but that is also it was under the scenario that there was a short lane and a long lane. That's why that camp was there, to prevent somebody from
Right.
overextending like crazy. Whenever you have equal distance lanes and then you put that camp there, you know, like if you're only overextending by like 15 feet, it's not really worth going and stealing a jungle camp, you feel me? Unless your lane is like hella pushed up. But by that point, the map is so short, by the time you get back to these jungle camps, your lane is already pushed up to the front of your jungle. By the
Right.
time you even walk.